I'm John, the psoriasis coach. I'd like to talk about the other side of helping people to get into remission with psoriasis, and that involves the diet as well as the stress that I work with, but also the diet is important because the brain usually is lacking in some hormones, and that comes from the diet. So Oxytocin, which is the safety hormone, the thing that helps us feel in love when we meet somebody, or we have a newborn baby. It's that bonding hormone that gets released then. There's also serotonin, which is known as the happy hormone, and that comes from feeling achieving success from when we've had a problem. So once that problem gets resolved, we get a sense of accomplishment, and that obviously is quite important because serotonin, it comes from the word seron, which is blood, and toner. So the release of serotonin, which most of it is in the gut, it gets regulated by activity. So things like laughing. When we laugh, we've got an involuntary spasm in the gut, which resonates at between 4 and 7 hertz. So that it's important. That 7 hertz is the theta brain waves in the brain that connects the conscious and the unconscious part of the brain. So it's an ancient evolution adaptation that we put in to acknowledge, to give an auditory feedback that we've just dealt with some stress. And I see this quite a lot with my clients. Once we work through the process, I'll often get a few giggles or a few laughs as that serotonin is released and this chronic stress that they've been holding on to has been resolved. So that's another hormone. And also testosterone, which is, something that a lot of people push to get in testosterone replacement therapy and that kind of thing. But, if you're still able-bodied, then testosterone is released whenever you do any excelling stressful events, like sprinting. So you would get a boost of testosterone if you did like a short 10-15 second sprint where your body is fully engaged. And what that does is it actually burns off fat in the body. And instead of having the insulin resistance that we have, where it stores fat, what happens is it's going to trigger off testosterone, and it's going to trigger off the use of fat, especially the visceral fat, which is the bad stuff around the gut. So if you're looking to change your diet because of, the psoriasis, the long-term condition of psoriasis, one thing it's important to remember is there has been some studies with salmon, and they identified when you put salmon in close quarters, which is a stressful situation for them, what happens is it alters their immune system. It creates inflammation, and it alters how their immune system acts. And what that does is it thins the skin. And so there is a relationship there with chronic stress and how our skin is adapted to that. And so what we need to do is we need to replenish that. And one of the things which is actually really good for replenishing the skin, ironically, is the skin of fish. It's got a fat in it called C15, which was recently discovered. And what we want to do is we want to boost that C15, and we want to boost as much as omega-3 into the body and reduce the omega-6, which comes from grains and plant matter. So, there's strong evidence that humans spent a long time adapting to coastal environments. I do believe our Stone Age ancestors were smart enough to use their technology, their sharpened stones, to prize off mussels and kill open crabs and open up oysters and get to the fresh seafood every time the tide went out, a couple of times a day. They would get a lot of omega-3 from that. They would get a lot of the really good nutrients and vitamins that are found in fish. And that helped grow our brain much bigger. I mean, if you look at, you know, a fish-eating animal equivalent to like a non-fish-eating animal, like a pig and a dolphin, the brain of a dolphin is much, much bigger. And that's because of the fat that's in the omega-3 helps to grow the brain. So also, you know, if you want to future protect yourself from dementia and Alzheimer's and that type of thing, then you need to get the fat. The myelin is made from fat, which is omega-3 mostly. You also have omega-6 and omega-9, but you know, the most important one that we're missing in our diet is the omega-6. So basically, now you've got the basics to get the hormones built. You've got the precursors for that. You need to activate them. To activate oxytocin, you need to find something that makes you feel like you belong, like a family environment, something like a new relationship, or even get a puppy or a pet cat, something that depends on you, relies on you, makes you feel like you're at home. This is where, you know, you mostly feel comfortable, which is why the Andaman Islands, there's a tribe of people that have lived out there. They say between 30,000 and 60,000 years. And they violently protect their island. They're called the Sentinelese. Now, what's interesting about that is once they've been out on a raid and they put their life at risk, they come back. They get hugs. They get hugs from the females. They get hugs from their partners, and that releases the oxytocin, and it makes it all worthwhile for them. And that's kept them safe for, you know, maybe 60,000 years. So yes, it's important. Yes, you do need to get the hugs. You do need to feel as if you're welcome. And that is the thing that will trigger the oxytocin. The other thing is the serotonin. Serotonin is the happy hormone. It's the thing that gets regulated in the gut when we laugh. William James once said, we don't laugh because we're happy because we laugh. And that's important. You see, that release of serotonin, what it does is it sends a signal up the vagus nerve. It opens up inside of the brain, and it changes the epigenetic switches that have switched off accepting serotonin, because, you know, we've got low status, we've got a long stressful job, we can't speak up for us, we can't stand up for ourselves. That is a problem, and that's why serotonin is actually very important. It's the happy hormone. And then the last one of the hormones I want to talk about is testosterone. That's interesting, because testosterone is released when we run, when we sprint. So if you're taking testosterone replacement hormones, you will get the same amount or even more of a boost simply from doing short bursts of exercise, you know, weight training exercise or sprinting for short distances. That will open up the acceptance inside of the brain to allow that testosterone to flow back in. And what we're doing with the IEMT model is we're literally taking the bad memories from the past, bringing it to the prefrontal cortex, bringing it to the working memory, and then we're getting the eyes to look across the 6 different axes. The brain's all active about that thing that happened in the past, so it's as if it's now. And then the brain is basically taking a look around in all the different quadrants, giving a signal to say, hey, look, we've checked, it's safe now, we can switch off that bad memory in the hippocampus, and so that allows, that changes the epigenetic switch, which then allows oxytocin and these hormones to flow back into the brain. So hopefully that's a watered down version of what I will be doing with my clients if you come to see me. And I'm starting to see really good results. You're looking between 2 to 3 weeks to start to feel a difference, and then maybe, depending on how damaged your body is, maybe 1 month to 3 months to see a remission happen. But yeah, I think it's all dependent on how long you've had the problem. So anyway, yeah, my name is John Moore. If you like what you see, then like, click and follow. Thanks.